Good morning, good evening, good afternoon from wherever you're tuning in. It's your sis Moon Magic, and welcome back to Tea and Tarot. This is a monthly video series where I come on here and do a general tarot reading for the collective and intuitive vibe session where we pull cards, check in, and ultimately tap into our intuition and just vibe with each other and see what's going on in the collective, what's going on with ourselves, and just build community here on this platform. My name is Moon Magic. I'm a hip-hop artist, MC, and educator, aka the Hip-Hop Witch. And it feels so good to be back here with you all. And eclipse season is over. Thank God. Thank the heavens, right? I survived. You survived. We're here, better, stronger, hopefully, right? We're going to dive into today the lessons from the eclipse and also just other general energy that might be coming up for you. While it is September 25th, I believe right now, 24th, 25th. While I am channeling and pulling these cards, my intention is always that these messages are timeless and applicable for you for wherever you are in your journey at any time that you watch this video. So with that being said, grab your tea, grab your water, grab your coffee, whatever your vibe is. Come back here, pause the video if you need to, grab your journal if you need to, or just be present. And we're going to go ahead and hop into the tarot reading. But first, we are going to start with some check-ins. How's everyone doing? How's your month going? How is September treating you? Happy fall. It's finally fall, which I love fall season. It's one of my favorite seasons, fall, spring, and early summer. But really fall out of all of them is my favorite. I love the crunchy leaves. I love Halloween season. I feel like that is every witch's favorite season. So I'm excited that it's finally going to be October very soon. And yeah, I'm also super just been excited because my new project, Moving Different, dropped on all platforms. I have some stickers. Hold up. Are they up here? Hold on. I'm going to go grab the stickers so you can see them. I have stickers and I have keychains. I got stickers and keychains, y'all. So like I said, I'm a hip-hop artist, MC, and an educator, and a tarot card reader. My main art is my music, and so I just dropped a brand new album called Moving Different. I got some stickers, y'all. Look at these stickers. I designed the album art, and got some little stickers made for them. It has a little SP inside, some sunflowers, a maze, because, you know, we moving different, you feel me? Support female producers, support female artists. I also have these really dope keychains right here that I designed based off of the album art. And they have like a little protective film on it so you can't see like the true color. It's like a blue protective film on it. But you could see that it's based off the album art. So there's an SP, a maze, a sunflower, and then on the back is a QR code. And that QR code actually has a bunch of exclusive goodies for the album. So it has all of the MP3s for the album so you can download them to any device you want. It also has a bonus track that is only available here on this QR code. It has 2 animations that I created based off the album. One that tells a little story and one that's for the song As Above, So Below, the single off of the album. And it also has the music video, the official music video for that single As Above, So Below, all on this QR code. The link to these keychains is down below. They're $18 and that comes with free shipping domestically. And that's why it's, you know, a little bit more pricey, is so that you don't have to worry about the shipping costs. And yeah, if you're interested, definitely click the link down below. Support your girl. I'm a full-time artist, so you know, you are supporting my livelihood, supporting female producers, female artists, supporting me as a professional artist and tarot card reader, and supporting art, which is so important. I feel in this time period in our lives, you know, with everything going on, having art being created and, you know, pushing the envelope and creatively, and using that as a platform for rejuvenation, nourishment, resistance, and forward momentum transformation is super powerful. So you will be supporting all of that, and it's much appreciated. I'll make sure to include some stickers in the keychain package, and yes, so definitely check that out if you're interested down below. Aside from that, I've been just moving and grooving. Got to have the pleasure of doing a show with Killer Priest and MC Supernat on not last Saturday, but the Saturday before at the Oasis, the Llama Shack in the Bay Area, which if you don't know about the Llama Shack, definitely check it out, thellamashack.com. And it's not 2 L's, it's 1 L, thellamashack.com. It is a really dope, kind of like backyard boogie place, and really an oasis type of spot that has a very unique festival type of experience and does shows out in Oakland. And yeah, performing there was super vibey and just very beautiful, and such an honor to get to open the show for Killer Priest and MC Supernat. I have a show this weekend, Saturday, September 27th, over in Richmond at BBG Studio. And all of that information is on my website down below, www.moonmagicflows.com. So if you're in the Bay Area, come out, come say what's up. Let me know that you came from this video or that you know me from this channel, because it'd be really dope to connect. And it's a FemC showcase. I am super excited to get to see Miss Marvelous. She's one of the first female rappers out of Sacramento, legend right there, and a lot of other really dope, incredible women who are performing. I will also have, of course, my tarot cards on deck if you want to get a personal reading, and all that good stuff. And yeah, I have some other goodies that's been in the works. I've been mobbing down to LA a lot for some work and working on some projects that, you know, right now are kind of under wraps, you know, not talking about publicly yet, but, you know, it's all coming together, and I'm excited for that. And just building with the community, building with other artists, and continuing to grow my skills as an artist. You know, I'm now in my 5th week of classes at the school that I'm at currently for music, and that has been really, really fun. I'm starting to see a lot of the skills and things that we've been learning this semester really integrate. Yeah, keeping it going, keeping it rocking, and I think those are all the updates that I have to share. Yeah, as usual, I don't come on here and think about what I'm gonna say for the updates, but that's okay. I like it to feel organic, and when I used to do these live on Instagram, it was just like a really awesome conversation with you all. Here on the YouTube platform, it's a little bit different because it's not live and I'm just kind of talking to myself, but the intention is always that down below you all are sharing what's going on in your world, your updates, and of course, I don't care if you skip ahead to just the reading. Completely understand as well if you don't want to hear me talk about all these updates, but for me, it's just a really awesome time to get to connect with you all and find my sense of community, and hopefully for you to find your sense of community, because man, I really, really believe in the power of community and how important community is, especially during these times. Like, not only is art really important, but also community is really important. You know, who you have around you, who you know, you can trust with your life, but also who have similar values, or who, you know, can maybe help you out in areas that you're not so strong in, and maybe you can help them out in areas that they're not so strong in. And just, you know, it's so easy to feel really, really alone, and especially in our world today. So, you know, my intention of this platform and this time and doing these updates and all of that is for us to build that little sense of community here on our little corner of the internet. And even if, you know, it's not just building community with me, but also hopefully building community with others in the comments who you might see on these videos time and time again, and then maybe you will further build that connection outside of just this platform, you know. But okay, we're gonna go ahead and get started. If you'd like to join me in a little grounding, you can close your eyes. Take some time to thank your guides, my guides, the divine, for this space today. Put your feet planted firmly on the ground. Just doing a little ground in and check in. Deep breath in, deep breath out. Just really monitoring how your body's feeling today. Anything that might be coming up for you. Cleansing this little space for us here. Asking Spirit that this be a sacred container for this work today. And whatever it is that's on your heart today, you know, asking for those messages to come in with exact clarity in the exact way that you need, that make perfect sense to you. And if you don't have anything on your heart today, then just focus on being open to receive messages for your highest good and in a good way. And take a deep breath in and release. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. And we are going to go ahead and hop into this reading, see what comes through. I'm going to pull specifically for the eclipse and then continue pulling and see what else comes through. But I don't know about y'all, but definitely the eclipse, I feel, was a lot of shadow magic, a lot of shadow energy, a lot of stuff that just like needed to be cleared out, that was outdated and ready to go. And while, you know, that always sounds really good in theory, when it's happening, it doesn't really sound, in fact, it doesn't really feel that good. So if that resonates, then definitely check out the last video I did. Even though it's from last month, it's still very applicable to today. And as always, these readings are meant to be timeless. So anyways, I want to go ahead and start with that. So we're going to go ahead and pull first. I'm going to pull this down here so you can see all the cards nicely. So we're going to go ahead and start with pulling what is it that the takeaway, I would say, for the eclipse season for the general collective. And see what comes through. Six of Cups. Yep. And immediately I'm hearing like generational healing. Oh, star card. Family healing. Trauma. PTSD. This to me is like those triggers, traumas, aspects of yourself that you learned in childhood, learned through survival, learned through your family, you know, generational pain, generational trauma, but also just like the wear and tear from life as you're growing up as a child to adult, the things that kind of you pick up as a kid and they become those sore spots and triggers in your life. I feel like the lesson of the eclipse season, the reason this eclipse season happened, and the takeaway for this eclipse season here for us, for the collective at large, is for us to be able to ultimately heal these wounds that are affecting our ability to see the future, to move towards the future, to have hope, to feel nourished, to evolve and reach to a newer, higher state, and also to nourish and take care of that inner child that is really can lash out really out of hurt and pain, and feel like you're not being supported, or maybe you have felt alone, or maybe felt like, you know, you're continuing to battle the same thing over and over again. All of those energies and things that continue to build up over and over in time, that's this kind of stuff that had to break down during this eclipse season. So if you've had a lot of turmoil or a lot of shadow energy, you know, difficult energy that came up during the eclipse, this is ultimately the takeaway. The thing that Spirit, the divine, wants for you is to be able to heal these kind of wounds. And sometimes that happens by, you know, it's kind of like if you've ever broken a bone and like it didn't, and I've never done this, but I've heard, you know, if you break a bone and you don't like set it in place correctly, like you don't have a cast, it'll heal incorrectly. So that's kind of the vision that's coming through, is like you didn't take the time, right? Take the time to work on self, to tend the wound, to put the cast on, to, you know, and maybe it's not just taking time, you didn't know how to, you didn't have the skill, you didn't have the resources, you didn't have the finances. There's a lot of reasons to why you may have not been able to take care of that wound and that trauma at the time, right? But it's like then regardless of the reason, it healed. And when it healed incorrectly, right? And so there's like this, the bone is like this, you know, and it's like, it's supposed to be like that. And so now it's like this. And when you're trying to go through life grabbing things or doing whatever, your arm or whatever that bone is isn't working correctly. And, you know, you're just trying to make it work. You're like, this is fine. We'll make it work. You know, we just continue. This is what I've known. This is what I've known. This is all I've known. You know what I mean? For some of us, right? This is all I've known, is this kind of way of using my arm, right? Because it's been like this since I was a child. I broke my bone. I didn't heal it correctly. I didn't have the tools, resources. Nobody was there to help me, you know, and it healed this way. And now this is how I use my arm, because that's all I've ever known, right? And while you have made it work to your best ability, might I say, Spirit doesn't want that for you. Spirit doesn't want you to live in a way that is ultimately a disservice to you and those around you, when there is a better way. And when it's something that Spirit is saying you no longer need to live that way, if you choose not to. And in this moment, I'm helping to give you, through these eclipses, through this more tumultuous energy, the ability to see how you can reset your bone in a way that's going to be functional more in the future, and be more do more for you. I know this is a really weird analogy, and hopefully this makes sense, but, you know, it's like, the way that Spirit works a lot of times, and the energy works a lot of times, is a little unconventional, so to speak, and it can be, you know, doesn't really make sense while it's happening. But I also feel like a lot of times that's because if we as humans are not a little bit uncomfortable, or not put in situations globally in our personal lives, etc., where we don't see the shadow, the ugly of what we're doing, and it's hard to take self-accountability, or the ugly of what other people are doing. And some people never take self-accountability. Let's look at what's going on in the world, you know what I mean? So we all have free will, though, at the end of the day, right? So Spirit breaks these systems down, and then that free will is like your choice of how you build that system back up, and whether you decide to ultimately, you know, not do anything and let your bone just reset like this again, or whether you've learned the tools necessary and are deciding to do the work necessary to integrate that work to now set the bone correctly. And it's that opportunity in that moment of when Spirit breaks it a lot of times against our will, you know what I mean? In terms of like, we don't choose to want to have these things to break down on us, but it's time for it to break down, and for us to be given that opportunity to make a different choice, to choose to either do the work, take self-accountability, self-responsibility, examine what's working, what's not working, integrate, ask for help, take empowering of ourselves in the ways that we can, right? What personal power do you have in the situation, right? Because not everything is not in our control, right? There's a lot that's outside of our control. So when those situations do happen, it's always important to look at what is our actual personal power in this specific situation. Like, what is in our control, and what do I actually have the resources and ability in this moment to work on? And sometimes just getting there to that place, to figuring out what those things are, can be difficult, right? So, but each time it happens, it's an opportunity for you to look at those things and to evaluate that, and to cut things out that you no longer need, and reset that bone in a way that's better for you long term. So I hope that this is making sense, and the analogy is making sense, because that was just like a really weird full circle little story. But that's what's coming through. So I want you to take a moment and vibe with your own intuition, And think about the eclipse season for yourself right now. That's September 7th to September 21st. You can even pause this video, look at your journals if you wrote during that time, or just reflect quietly to yourself, or however you reflect, whatever feels natural for you. And think about what has happened during those time period, the 7th to the 21st, right? And what do these cards make you think of? What do you notice in the imagery of these cards? How is it playing or calling to your intuition? And what kind of messages or stories or analogies are coming out for you? Definitely let me know down below in the comments, because as always, I always say that I don't think the tarot reader is someone who has like superior knowledge or knows more than anybody. I really feel that tarot is a reciprocal practice, and that we are all just here vibing with the energy. And the tarot reader is just someone who knows how to read the cards, but your own intuition and what you see in the images and what it makes you think of in your own life and how that energy plays with you is also very, very important. And by you sharing it, you never know how it may impact someone else reading the comments who also is like, oh my goodness, that's me too. I definitely feel that as well. That resonates with me. Or that makes me now think about this, which maybe they didn't get from my initial message. So you have medicine as well that's very powerful. So definitely share that down below in the comments. What are you seeing in these cards here? And feel free to share what this eclipse season has brought up for you. All right, so with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and just move on to additional messages though and see what else wants to come through. Pull a card from each of our oracle cards for advice for just right now, this time period, life in general. See what comes through. And continue on with our general reading for the collective today. Goddess of Justice. I have not seen this card before, so I'm really excited to see what this card is showing. The Goddess of the Unknown. Oh, both new cards from this deck that I have not seen or pulled before. That's cool. Look at that. I got 2 cards from both of these, from all 3 decks. Isn't that interesting? All right, so let's see what the main energy is that Spirit wants to talk with us today outside of just the eclipse. Is there any other additional messages, Spirit, that you have for the collective? We have 4 of Cups, and we have 5 of Rods. Ooh, okay. And what do you want to say about these things? 4 of Cups and 5 of Rods is a very difficult energy, because I'm going to go ahead and show this to you close. And this message might be for someone specific here. You may be coming out of this eclipse season and in this time period right now not really seeing any blessings out of the situation, except for just a broken arm that isn't working, or an arm that is, you know, not, the bone didn't set correctly, right? And if that is you, then I feel like this message is for you specifically, where it may be difficult because of the environment you're in, the people you're around, the agitation that it causes in your spirit, the hurt from the past, this deep sadness of maybe the current state of the world, the current state of your life and the predicaments you find yourself in, that it just feels like you're in the thick of it and unable to see God's hand maybe in anything that's happening in your life. And if that is the case, we have the 3 of Rods here. And if that is the case for you, one, just on a personal level as a human being, I just want to say I completely feel for you, because when we are going through this type of energy, and sometimes in this type of energy, it can be years of going through this type of energy, months, and an ongoing energy. You know, that's not just something like, oh, everything's better now, we're great now. It's like not exactly the way that life works at times, right? And so just as a human being, I just wanted to extend my love to you and my understanding and empathy for this type of situation and energy, and how hard it can be and how hollowed out it can make you feel as a person. to constantly kind of just be maybe beat down by the world, beat down by those around you in an environment that isn't your highest good and doesn't bring out the highest good within you. And just in general, be in a period where you feel like it's hard to see the beauty in life, and the difficult parts of life are the parts that seem to be taking over the most. And it's hard to see God in anything, because it's like, if God is in our life, why does God allow these things to happen? And I just wanted to express how I feel that same difficult question with the universe, God, the divine, whatever higher power you want to call it, and how hard those conversations can be, and how difficult it can be to still build a relationship with God or trust the universe and the divine when these things are happening, or when you find yourself in the thick of this type of energy. And with that being said, the supporting card here is a 3 of Rods. And so if you take a moment to vibe with your intuition and see what this pulls out to you, for me, what this is showing me is that this is the being in the middle of a coming and a going, and just trusting that you are in the middle of a coming and a going. And what I mean by that is that this chapter, this energy, this moment is not forever. Life is constantly evolving. Life is constantly changing. And so if you find yourself in this kind of energy right here, just trusting and knowing, Spirit wants you to trust and know that this is temporary. It is not forever. It is not a permanent state. It is not your permanent condition. And that sunset, that sunrise is a transition, is a moment in time that happens, that creates a new chapter. And while we can't exactly know what's coming in these boats, what is to come, we know that there is something else. This is not the ending point for us. And we can look at this on a very philosophical life, like our flesh and bones is not the ending point for us, right? When we pass, we all know, no matter what, that all of us will have an end date to being alive in these fleshy bodies. And there is something else beyond that that continues, and there's an unknown about it, right? We don't know exactly what that is. And of course there's religion and spiritual, stories and beliefs that tell us what is beyond, but ultimately it is this continued evolution of a new chapter and a new time period. And in a way, Spirit is saying to use that knowing as a way to know that this moment right here will not be forever, because we know that this is not forever. And to trust that that means that there is a possibility of this changing for the better. And with that being said, we're going to go ahead and dive into the Oracle cards and the advice. And this is general advice for this time period, post-eclipse, and for the collective in general. Feel free to just listen to the messages and really pay attention to what pops out to you intuitively, as well as take a look at these images and see if there's anything that sticks out to you. And definitely let me know down below if any of these images are calling out to you and stirring something in your intuition. But I'm going to start with this card. I craft my core desires with certainty and ease. And that card to me is just a reminder, especially when you are in a time period of a transition, or maybe in a time period where it feels like everything is against you, or it's very difficult to see the divine in anything, or to feel like you're making progress in anything. I feel like this card is reminding us that even in small moments, our core desires and the way we express them matter. It's giving like the be impeccable with your word from the 4 agreements of like, not that we should pretend or be toxically positive or anything like that and just be like, oh, I'm fine, when you're not fine. But it's also the same kind of mentality of like, if you are like, man, the world sucks, everything sucks, it's always gonna suck, then it's like at the same time, that's the only reality you will be able to see. And of course, I understand the world can definitely suck. So I feel it. Trust me, I feel it. But at the same time, Spirit is asking you to be very impeccable with your words and to be very mindful of what you are personally crafting. And we can hold the reality of what's going on in the world and be grounded in that reality while also holding hope and the ability to craft with intention the reality that we want to see, and realizing our personal power and how our words have personal power with ourselves, those around us, and the world at large, because it affects how we navigate the world. So I'm going to go ahead and read this card right here. It says, desire. Our deepest desires can act as a roadmap, guiding us to craft a life with purpose and meaning. It is in our nature to create, yet sometimes it's just a matter of slowing down enough to remember who we are. If you listen closely, you know what you want and how to manifest it. When you claim your innate ability to craft and create, you connect to a deep knowing that is unshakable. It lives in your bones and is magnetic when awakened. You may create art, a home, a family, an adventure, a business, a delicious food, a garden. The options are endless. Instead of exhausting your energy and repressing your desires, give them a direction, no matter how small. You hold the reins and can steer them. You deserve the space to pause and inquire. Feel a sense of trust and ease with all you are crafting in your life. And something that came through as I was reading this is like going back to that 5 of Rods energy. If you're around someone who's really negative or who's constantly putting you down, or in an environment that's not very supportive, and maybe you're like, working on, maybe like one of your hobbies is crocheting and you really love to crochet, and like you kind of want to sell some of your crocheted goods at a pop-up, at a local art event, and you're crocheting, and maybe it's like a family member or someone you live with, and they're like, man, that's so dumb, like that's so ugly, no one would ever want to wear that, like why are you even wasting your time crocheting, like don't you have better things to do with your life? It's like that kind of energy that can really dampen your creativity. And sometimes it's not even a physical person. Sometimes, going back to that 6 of Cups energy, it's like it's the internalized critic in our head who's saying that to us. And this card right here is encouraging you to give your ideas and desires direction, no matter how small. And so even if you're like, man, maybe you don't even know how to crochet a top, but you really want to, and you have like this dream of being able to crochet your own clothes, but you don't know how to crochet a single thing. It's easy to sit there and be like, man, I'll never know how to do this, and this is so difficult, and I suck, right? But what this card is encouraging you to do is, no matter how small of a step to take that step. And so maybe that's as simple, and this isn't simple really, it could be a big deal, you know what I mean? But it's not as much energy as maybe it may seem like, where it's like, it could be something like, let me spend 10 minutes, 30 minutes once a week just watching YouTube videos on how to crochet a single triangle for the top, and working on that single triangle, right? And then it's like, okay, you finally have the triangle, and then you make another triangle, and now you have 2 triangles, and it could take you 6 months just to make those 2 triangles, but you're taking small steps forward and making those desires a reality, and slowly but surely actually manifesting the reality you want to see, rather than counting yourself out. You know what I mean? And counting yourself out because you're not doing any action towards the goal. Not because you're not capable, but because you're not even putting yourself out there to be capable, if that makes sense. And Spirit is saying you are capable. Whatever it is that you are trying to manifest is possible. And I feel like this is a very strong message for someone, because you know exactly what it is that you're trying to manifest. And Spirit wants you to know it is 100% possible. Like, you have the manifestation card here too. So what Spirit is saying is just put those into small actionable steps, instead of just being like down on yourself or getting like in your head about how there's so much to do and how it's, maybe out of your scope of possibility in this moment, which is fair. But Spirit is saying, what is it that you can do towards that goal right now? No matter how small that action is, focus on those small actions, keep your head down in the work, and then you will be surprised at how much further along you will be, and how each step kind of will start to reveal itself to you, because you are growing and learning the more you put your head down and do the work, if that makes sense. You'll see more as well, the more that you allow yourself to be open to the possibility that this is actually not even just a possibility, the confirmation, the knowing that this will happen. You will start to see more as well. I am in harmony with the earth. This card right here, I'm not going to read it, but this card is always to me about how we are part of the earth. And with that being said, we also go through seasons of life, birth, decay, on repeat, right? And at times when we feel like, why are these things happening to us, or, whatever it may be, we are growing just like the earth is growing, just like a tree grows. We are shedding our leaves just like a tree sheds a leaf. And all of that is part of being in harmony with nature, because you are nature. So I see this as giving ourselves more grace a lot of times, and honoring our natural process of growth, decay, blooming, etc. All right, I do want to read both of these cards because I haven't seen them before, so I'm really curious to see what these cards say. The Goddess of the Unknown. It says a new chapter of your life is right around the corner, and this is the Three of Wands energy. So again, if you are feeling that Four of Cups, Five of Wands energy, where you feel like you're just maybe in a depressing type of era of your life, or just around a very negative, tumultuous type of energy, this is again confirmation that a new chapter is on the horizon. And it's just something that you don't know what it is yet, but you have to trust that it is there, and that it is arriving to you, you are arriving to it. And the knowledge can be as simply as just knowing that you can't stop growth. You can't be 10 years old forever. Like, you're always going to keep growing. And with that same kind of mentality, knowing that there is a new chapter that will come eventually. It says, only through the darkness of the night are we able to see the beautiful tapestry of light which stems from the stars above. This card is here to help you ease your fears about the future and the unknown. Even though you presently cannot see the light at the end of the tunnel, again, Three of Wands energy, you are being urged to trust. You're always on the right path, even when you think you've strayed completely off of it. A major chapter in your story of your life has recently come to a close, and an exciting new chapter is about to begin. Through the current emptiness, the seeds of fertile new future sprout through. Soon you will see the light shining as bright as ever. Yes, I love that. All right, Goddess of Justice. Let's see what the Goddess of Justice says. What seems an injustice is actually a blessing. You feel that a certain situation in your life is somewhat unfair. Yet be assured that justice, which is a natural state of balance inherent in the universe, does exist. Justice is actually the universal law of cause and effect, through which all in life is kept in balance. The recent event which you perceive to be unfair is actually a blessing in disguise. Here to guide you towards your highest purpose, it is understandable that you cannot see the blessing at this time. However, the Goddess of Justice is asking you to surrender the strong emotions and resentments you've attached to the situation and trust. By letting go of this issue, she will help clear your path and create the space for something wondrous to occur. Definitely take that message as it resonates. And I definitely see that as sometimes when things happen in our life that we perceive as being bad or unfair, or like, how could this happen to me or someone else? That spirit is constantly moving things in ways that we do not always understand. And, it's like if you just like lost your job, for example, but then a better job opens up, or, you start working more on your small business, and then your small business is actually starting to grow because you have more time to work on it. It's things like that. And this is only for those who it resonates with. All right, last two cards. I know this reading is getting a little bit long. I try to keep it under 40 minutes. But today was juicy with all of the movement happening post-eclipse, y'all. So definitely let me know down below how this message is resonating. And I'm going to go ahead and finish it up with these 2 cards. So thank you so much for being here. The Observer. The Observer indicates a time where you are being encouraged to suspend your judgment or conclusions and simply witness. Humans are always trying to sort their external world. We want to process it, make sense of it, and figure out our place within it. It is our way of trying to feel secure and comfortable within our environment. However, this can also reach extremes where we are automatically forming opinions without gathering information. The Observer asks you to pause and simply pay attention. This may feel passive, but in observing, we are already cultivating change. The balanced Observer intuitively knows when to be present and when to move. They watch, but they do not do so in a way that harms others. Excuse me. Many people may interpret them as apathetic. In reality, they understand that there is a time and place for action. An unbalanced Observer becomes too stagnant. They can see how everything functions, but do not believe that they are able to affect change as they are only one person. This can be a form of bypassing, as they may not stand up when it is needed. That's right. It's very, very important with this card to know whether you're in the balanced or unbalanced nature. Everything is a balance, you know what I mean? Sometimes when reading these cards, it can be like stressful because you're like, what? I'm doing too much or am I doing too little? It's never okay enough. But that's just, to me, that's life, right? You can eat too much of something or too little of something. You know, nutrition is all about balance as well. You know, everything is about balance. You can be too hot, too cold, right? We don't want to bypass what's happening. We don't want to not show up. We don't want to not be present and feel our emotions and be grounded in the reality of what's going on. We don't want to turn a blind eye. We want to witness grief and sorrow and pain and joy and love and all of the emotions that this human experience has to offer and that we feel and witness in our lives. But at the same time, we don't want to make a judgment about something that we don't have all the information about yet. And this has been actually very powerful for me personally in my life recently. And shout out to my good friend. I'm not going to drop no names, but one of my friends is always telling me to not paint the picture before it's done, you know, because sometimes, you know, it's human nature to want to try to guess what the painting is, right, in our life, of whatever the situation is, of like, what does this mean? And oh my gosh, I said this and now it's like I ruined it, or oh, I need to do this and I need to fix it, and you know, all the things, right? But sometimes everything has a natural process, and life is like a painting. You don't know how the picture is going to turn out of this situation or moment in your life. And the more we take a step back and just observe the process of the picture being painted, rather than trying to guess what the final picture is going to look like or trying to assume what it is before it's done, the more we can really, one, enjoy life more and be more in flow, but also, two, not cause our unnecessary suffering to ourselves by, you know, creating a situation out of something that isn't even there, if that makes sense. And this is only for those that it resonates for, and I just felt really called to share that personal analogy or story with this card. So if it resonates, let me know. But yeah, that's the message that's coming out with this card. All right, last card, manifest, baby. I love that this card's coming out, and I think, you know, eclipse season, shadow energy, all of that can be, you know, scary or just sad and depressing and a lot and exhausting. But on the other side of that, right, when death and decay happens, it is fertile soil for something new to come through, for manifestation. And so if you've gone through a period of great transformation and, you know, a lot of things that have been upheaved, that have been turned over and, you know, broken down throughout the last couple weeks or months or years even, know that that means that you're in potent manifestation energy and soil. And again, desire, craft that intention, hold that intention in your heart and that vision. Manifest. This card signals a period of time where your manifestation work could be extra potent. What you've been working on is on its way towards you. If you feel anxious or obsessive, it's time to release and let the universe work some magic. That's like the key right there. That's really the key of this whole video. If there's nothing that you take away from this entire message, I feel like Spirit is trying to say any kind of anxiety, depression, emotion that just feels heavy, that you're obsessing over and trying to fix or trying to hyper focus on, Spirit wants you to release that and let the universe work its magic. And instead of trying to make more meaning out of it, or making yourself responsible for fixing all these things that, again, going back to personal power, what is your personal power? What is your responsibility to take accountability for and to fix? And if it's not in that bucket, then ultimately it is the universe's, to do its magic, right? And sometimes even the things that we feel like we failed in, maybe you're working on a project and you feel like you didn't bring your best on it and you're beating yourself up about it. Even some things like that, it's part of the process. And if we're so hard on ourselves and self-critical, or not allowing ourselves to just show up for the process and to let the universe work its magic, we kind of shoot ourselves in the foot, so to speak, and turn that into what we're thinking in our head, rather than allowing ourselves to show up for what can be. So if you find yourself in that shadow period of that kind of energy, something that can be very helpful is sitting there and saying, you know what, this may not be my best work, or I may not really love this, but I'm giving this to God, universe, the spirit, and trusting God, universe, the spirit, to pull through and do the rest. All I can do is show up and do the best I can do. And as long as I know I did the best that I possibly can, it's not fair for me to beat myself up for feeling like I'm not good enough, because that's all society's brainwashing, making us feel like we're not good enough. When we show up and do the best that we can, choose to do the work, and we still don't feel like it's good enough, a lot of times it's because the universe is doing the rest, and we just got to allow it to do the rest. All right, so the rest of this card says, when we are working on manifesting, it is important that we do the following. 1, we must be clear on what we want, not what we don't want. 2, we imagine and visualize ourselves experiencing it. This means tapping into the feelings we would have if we did have it. 3, after we focus on it long enough, we must release it so it can be manifested. This card asks you to examine your process. Are you lacking clarity in your desires? Are you sending the universe mixed signals by focusing on what you don't want or what you lack? Are you too focused? Reflect on how you show up for your manifesting practice and make any adjustments that need to be made. Woo-wee! That was a lot coming through in this reading. Oh my goodness. Man, thank you so much for vibing with me for this general tarot reading and vibe session for the collective. I want to thank your guides, my guides, and the divine. I'm going to clear a little spritz spray for you and the collective here. Sending you all the good energy into your next month. Let me know how this resonated down below, or if there's anything specifically you'd like me to pull for the next video. But aside from that, I want to thank you again so much for being here. If you want to join me on the Patreon down below, that's our free community where we get to vibe and build with one another. And it's also where you can select one of the higher tiers and receive a personalized message from me, tarot reading message from me every single month. And if you're interested in listening to my music or any other fun goodies like that, you can find that at www.moonmagicflows.com. But aside from that, I am going to hop off from here, and I will see you in the next video. Peace and much love.